Matt, questions?
Yes, I know you did. But you, it's kind of hard for you to answer, so I'm sure, without having to think about it. Would you think it would be something you could advocate or you could support? That all the new slate of officers on the staff would immediately hand a resignation to you without a date on it? In the event that they became unwilling or out of touch or couldn't serve or for whatever reason did not fulfill the needs of the club, all the board would have to do is put a date on the resignation and move on.
I think what my intention is within about 14 days of the election, or 3 weeks, is to sit down with the board leadership and have a strategic planning session going forward. And very clearly we set out the rules of expectation of performance. And you literally would ask those people, if you're not willing to commit to this, be available and step up to do this, we need you not only to step out, but we as a board have an obligation to ask you to leave that position.
But if you already have the resignation, you would not be in a position to have somebody who advocate your loss.
The only reason I would suggest that I would advocate against that, would be that you're already saying that you're admitting failure. You're anticipating failure by asking for that up front. And in my particular view, going forward, I'm willing to give the people the benefit of the doubt, prove your actions to be a failure rather than me expect you to be a failure. Because I look at the elected people and say, I expect you to excel and do your job and be accountable for it. I think going the other way is, I'm expecting you to fail, so as soon as you do, I'm ready for you to sign. I think I would rather advocate going.
I think it's more of an expression by the person taking the job that they recognize that what they're doing is such an important part of the club's business that if they run into difficulty, sometimes not even of their own making, but at least the board of directors has a tool with which they can make a correction quickly enough to keep the club out of trouble.
Oh, I agree.
It's not to me a negative thing. It's something I would be willing to do, and I would take it as a challenge. You got my resignation. I want to make sure you're having to use it. Anyway, it's just a difference in viewpoint.
I think we're both in agreement that we have high expectations for the board members to serve their obligations. Not only does the other 4 members of the board have an obligation to remove that person, but that person has an obligation to remove themselves.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to start over here. I know.
You talk about the board needing to start seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 years down in the future. Are your plans, as of right now, barring circumstances, to a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, keep running for office as president to make sure that wheel keeps on turning, or in a year could you be stepping down and then the board has to start all over again, but still things?
No, you've asked a great question. My purpose for talking about strategic plan and those kind of things is they should survive the loss of any particular board member or grouping of the board. That plan should be in place so the next group can go in and go, okay, where are we in the playbook now? What is our next step? Here are our goals, our targets, and those kind of things that we try to achieve. Because otherwise, if Mike's idea of marketing starts really going out in promotion, or Stig's idea about getting more community involvement, and all of a sudden we start seeing more members come in, now you get a new group that comes in and goes, where are we now? Well, we're 2,500 members. The strategic plan is to do that. I think any board member serves at the will of the membership. If there was membership that said, hey, you know what, Mike Smith, you're doing a great job as treasurer, we'd like you to stay on and do that again. And I think Mike, his family situation is, would be obligated to do that just like any other board member. So, I mean, but do I have some Machiavellian plan that I want to be the emperor at large for the next 5 years? No. Damn it. I think the point is for any of the board as a group to think racing group this year, some expansion of both the kids' events and some of the other things, both the day before and the day of racing, to encourage those kinds of things. And the other thing is you time them with, I think one of the other candidates had mentioned, about having a calendar, a well-developed calendar in advance. So when somebody does come to a race, and that's their first kind of foray into DORBA, and they don't realize everything else, you have that calendar that you can expose them to. I was just talking out in the hallway to Abby and Lisa who wanted to do the skills training for the women. You know, and they said, well, what can we do about those things? I said, you know, the first thing to do is have a plan in terms of how you link your training classes or your beginner classes together. Don't just have a beginner class and keep repeating it. You know, beginner class together, an intermediate class, and then link them together so you retain membership rather than giving them the same thing over and over again. You know, I would continually get people to come and talk to me about the whole endurance lecture that I've given for the last 2 years, 20 years. Well, I can't give the same, if I'm asked to do it again, I can't give the same lecture again because they'll hear the same thing. So I have to come up with either new jokes or new mistakes I make. And so I think that's part of it. You have to expose them when they're there. I think the venue now to be not just a start-finish line, there's a lot more going on to give those members exposure. And I think that's just part of having that race team do more there. Well, yeah, I think it's all of us. Okay, James.
My question is the same question to you. I mean, you are an incumbent member, and you had actually discussed this, the idea of representation at these events by the board, that I believe is a very powerful message that it sends out to membership. You support that concept.
Absolutely, and I think, one, by my own participation, either as a participating member or volunteer, I think that's very important. I think to Mike's particular point, you somehow need to actually, as silly as it sounds, signify that, yeah, that guy is a board member. He's out there.
You must be tangible.
Yeah.
So people get that.
I think I've been, I think in at least 2 of the 4 races I was fairly visible. And it's easy to find me on the single speed line because I'm usually in the back.
Man, you'll see a big.
Any other questions I can answer for anybody?
I was wondering
Yes,
about the marching plan to go for advocacy.
okay, yeah, the advocacy thing, I've alluded to that being a place that we want to go and grow. One of the things that we have never tapped really is the whole issue about grants. I'm a little bit jealous and a little bit embarrassed from the fact that one of our sister organizations, DORBA, down in Houston, managed to wrangle a very serious grant for their trail system down there. I'm thinking, what trail system is this?
Yes, 4. Wait, which one?
By my knowledge, there's actually only one in the city of Houston proper.
Yeah.
But they managed to get a very good grant. I think that's one of the things that we're going to actively pursue is we'll go after these grants. We've got a couple of pilot programs that I think are tailor-made for pursuing grants, whether it's the trail counting system, the trail signage system, or the GPSs for the trail stewards. They're tailor-made for going out and pursuing grants and actually promoting the advocacy of trails. That's one of our mission points, and that's one of the things that we do. And we have been, I don't want to say remiss, but it's never been a priority, and I think it needs to be. That answer it for you?
There's a lot of money out there. A whole lot.
A whole lot of money.
Yeah, I had a question other than the income offers for all trail students.
Yes.
Will some do that?
Yes. Those are those kind of things that we need to hear. Again, last year was the first time we ever got the trail stewards together in one room, and you would not believe the tongue lashing and the wrestling we had to do to make that happen.
I mean, mine's out alone, but
But yes. Any other questions? Again, I'm available after this. You can reach me on the forum.